Flatout Racing Network tonight brings you to the Brickyard in Speedway, Indiana, the Indianapolis Motor Speedway, tonight for the final race before we figure out a champion next week at Phoenix. Tonight, it's the Chris the Bricks 200 at the Brickyard, powered by SimNut Racing Sim. Hello, friends. My name's Carlos Zimmerman. Back with me in the booth tonight here in Speedway, Indiana, is Logan Breaky. Logan, how you doing this evening?
Doing well. Looking forward to what should be a fun and exciting race here at Indianapolis here this afternoon.
About 18 cars are going to take to the track this evening. A couple of new faces. We'll document those as the race goes on. Just a lot of fun action about to happen. Looking at the points, Logan, there's still technically 8 people still fighting, or 4 people still fighting for 4 spots that are outside of the top 4 right now, but realistically, we're looking at possibly just 3 of them being there at the end of this one to try and knock out any of the top 4.
Yeah, mathematically, any one of these 4 drivers that we've got outside looking in can still get into this final 4. But as you said, realistically, we're looking at maybe about a 4-horse race, maybe even more down to a 3-horse race. From those guys that are on that cutoff line in 4th, 5th, and 6th that are looking to get into that final 4. So they'll probably be our main focus here this afternoon, but anything can happen here in the lovely sport that is NASCAR racing. So it should be an exciting race to watch all the way down to that checkered flag.
Starting grid's going to roll at the bottom of your screen. Christopher Takis, one of those 4 drivers on the outside looking in, 16 points out. He is on the pole, and the guy who's been really dominant throughout the majority of this last half of the season, Chris Tommy Gossett, he will roll off on his outside in the 43. Chris Jonathan Leach eliminated, but rolls off 3rd tonight. Chris Roberge, he will roll off 4th. He's currently 2nd in points. Rolling off 5th, Christopher Reese. He is in that 4th spot, 5 points ahead of 5th, so he's a guy we're going to watch tonight. And one of our newcomers, Chris Bowler, he rolls off to his outside. Rolling off in 7th, Chris Jones. He's still fighting for a, he's still fighting for a spot. 6 points out as the cars will roll off. Chris Otto, another guy, he's in 5th. In points, he'll roll off 8th. And then rounding at the top 10, a new guy also, Chris Cotila in the 4, and then Christopher Lawrence, who is 8th in points right now, 33 points out, would need a miracle and a half to get into the championship 4. And then Chris Raul Mesa rolled off 11th. The rest of the grid determined by starting, I believe, by just where they came in onto the track. Logan, real quickly, keys to winning this race tonight.
Biggest key is going to be consistency here at Indy. It's a 1-lane racetrack. There is no second groove here. You will see some passes done on the outside, but that's only because the guy on the bottom has lost momentum due to the car being loose or something, a quick lift of the throttle. So being consistent, carrying as much speed as you can through all 4 of these corners. While they look very similar on the track map, I can promise you every single corner drives differently from the others. It's being consistent all the way throughout the lap. And should we see green flag stops, getting onto pit road. This is one of the trickiest pit roads in motorsports to get down to. You're going to see guys lifting in turn 4 and then being hard on the brakes to get slowed down to 60 miles an hour from around 180 in a very, very short amount of time. So watch out for pit road here should we have any green flag pit stops. And then lastly, real quick, just managing those fuel and tires, taking care of those the best you can, stretching out your runs, making the most of what you got.
Guys, tonight they will have about 27 laps on their fuel and tires, looking at a 2-stop race. So we're going to go get ready for 80 laps tonight here at the Brickyard. Race number 4 of 5 of the chase for the Chris Cup. We're glad you're with us on Flatout Racing Network. It's going to be a fun one tonight. 18 cars ready to go, and we're ready to bring it to you. As they come to the stripe, Christopher Takis and Chris Gossett will get us underway. Green flag in the air. We are racing in the land of bricks.
Smoothly they go through turns 1 there, getting spread out a little bit as they make the charge down into turn 2. Really slick racing surface here this afternoon, Carlos. So these restarts are going to be pretty dicey here as they fight for as much track position as they can get.
Christopher Takis settles into the first position just ahead of Chris Tommy Gossett. Looks like everybody took the green flag with the exception of the 09 of Christopher Williams. Some issues on that machine. We'll document them a little bit later when we get a chance. But Takis already opening up about a 0.3 of a second gap with that running that inside line. That's where you want to be tonight throughout this one. When you're running by yourself, like you mentioned, with the passing, definitely would be a little bit different idea when it comes to making passes.
Yeah, this place is incredibly difficult to pass at, and your best chances of doing it here are on the restart with the fresh rubber, despite how slippery the track surface might be right now. But got a caution on the racetrack.
Yeah, it looks like we've had a couple cars spinning out towards the back. Looks like it may have been potentially tonight the 12 of Chris Noblet, one of our championship contenders.
72, Chris Edwards, also on pit road. His day is effectively done. He hit the wall hard coming off a 2. Got up into the 17.
I'm going to back it up here. See if we can get you a good angle. Folks, I apologize tonight if the cameras aren't quite to our liking. We had a technical difficulty prior to the start of the broadcast, so that's why the things will probably be just a little bit wonky tonight. As you look at this replay here, hopefully it'll give you a good angle. The 17 of Chris Matos, one of the new drivers in tonight's race. He's going to get loose up there on the high side, and yeah, going to make a little contact there with the 72. And oh, he caught the tail end of where the guardrail meets the concrete wall, and it ricocheted him back out onto the racing surface.
Yep, and that will be day over for Chris Edwards. I tell you, there's been I've called most of these races this season here with you, Carlos. I have not seen any driver have as much bad luck early in a race as Chris Edwards has had this season. He's had such a tough time avoiding that early trouble, and it's not always his fault. I would say that incident there was just. That was typical Indy. He had a car on his outside, and he pushed up. He got tight, and the car on the outside was turning down to avoid catching the wall, and there was 2 cars going for the same place on the racetrack. But just such bad luck for Chris Edwards all season, and has been involved in so many big early race incidents that have cost him any chance at getting any sort of good finish.
So that's what's got us under our first caution of the evening here at Indianapolis. Not much has really changed. Takis still in first, Gossett second, Chris Robert's third, Chris Leach fourth, and Christopher Reese in fifth. Do want to take a moment and document what the 43 has on his card tonight. Folks, you may recognize this little look, the old Petty Blue look. He's running a scheme tonight, a special paint for the late John Andretti. He does have a hashtag on there, check it for Andretti. So just a great little tribute he has put, Chris Gossett has put together in the honor of the now passed John Andretti. Just a little nugget of information we have for you tonight. So be watching that Petty Blue 43 throughout the night.
Well, Carlos, I'm not sure that he's going to be too happy with me bringing this up here, because I'm sure he's hoping that we didn't catch it. But I so happened to catch a little bit of an error from the 98 on the pace lap coming by. Looks like he might have been a little distracted, might have been reaching down for something, but he has caught the inside wall on the front stretch and has bent up that left front quite a bit. So we could see him coming down pit road here on this caution lap to fix that damage, because that could be pretty costly for him. So not too sure what went wrong there, but the car just drifted off to the left and kissed the inside wall pretty good under caution here. So we'll see how that affects him if he's unable to come to pit road and get that repaired.
That doesn't look like they go into the breakdown lane. Well, I guess they don't use it in this configuration. They would use it on the front stretch. So.
Right, yeah. Exiting the pits, they'll use the access road, but you won't see that being used on pit entry. far too slick and would cost them far too much time doing so. There are quick yellows here. We should point out that is not a league decision. That is iRacing's implementation. Any track that we go to that is 2 miles or longer in length will have iRacing's newest feature of quick yellows. So the pace speed is increased this time. This time around, it is 75 mile an hour is what the pace car speed is, and it's only 2 caution laps. Lead lap cars and cars off the lead lap all pit on the same lap, and then it's 1 more pace lap, and then we take the green. So it is crucial to decide whether or not you're coming to pit road with these quick yellows, Carlos, because should you decide to stay out, you're pretty hooped. So that decision, as you don't have that extra 3rd pace lap that you normally would on any other tracks to make a last-minute decision to come to pit road.
Yeah, so that's another piece of strategy that these drivers are going to have to think about throughout tonight's race. Again, folks, it's about 27 laps. 27 lap runs that we'd be looking at for these guys to come down and make stops for fuel if these were to get in the long green flag runs. I'm not expecting them to, so could be a little different, excuse me. As this is going to be very interesting how they're going to be able to balance all the different kind of strategies. Indianapolis is already a tough racetrack in of itself, being the uniqueness of it. But figure all these other strategies in with fuel, wind, with how the policies on the yellows go now. These drivers are going to have their hands full pretty much all night long. 2 cars are out of the race. Christopher Williams did not take the green flag in the 09, and then Chris Edwards being the reason for this caution. He is out of the race in the 17th spot. That's going to leave us 16 cars on the lead lap. And they are all, 16 on the racetrack, 16 on the lead lap. So they're all still in it. And just about all of our championship contenders are still unscathed as lap 6 about to go on the board.
Pace car pulling off this time real quick before we get them wound up again. Christopher Reeves, Chris Otto, and Chris Jones are going to be our bubble drivers that we're going to be spending most of the time focusing on, but we will keep you updated as well with the rest of the drivers that are still within a shot of getting in this postseason. Back to green here.
Green flag back in the air. Takis gets to the line. 3 wide, spread out behind them.
That was a good decision. I was worried that the 62 was going to keep that and stick it 3 wide going in the 1. That was just not going to work at all. Good decision there to back out.
Meanwhile, 2-car breakaway at the front. Tommy Gossett hounding the 46 right now of Christopher Takis. Gossett again not going for a championship, but going for just the pride of getting some wins. So he's going to get to the inside here of the 46 of Takis and should clear him unless Takis gets a good run as they head towards the tunnel turn.
Chris Bass back in the pack here, back battling for 8th and 9th. Just made a move 3 wide. We talked about it briefly on that restart. Made a power move 3 wide, and he's going to gain 3 spots here before he gets down to turn 1, maybe even a 4th. Great move from Chris Bass, who restarted deep in the field there and is using these restarts in slick conditions to his advantage. He's up to 9th. Working on the 82 of Chris Bowler for 8th now, and he passes him with ease as well. Chris Bass, the only driver that we've got in this field that is locked into the championship 4 by quite a large margin, Carlos.
Yeah, you see him there just ahead of one of the newcomers, the 82 of Chris Bowler, as they head down this back straightaway, a very long back straightaway, just as long as the front. Bass sitting in the 8th. Yeah, really doesn't have anything to lose tonight, other than just maybe getting a good run out of it. So it'll be interesting to see what he does throughout this night's race. Currently sitting up there in the 8th spot, trying to look through here and find some other guys that are competing for this championship. Chris Robert's right there in 4th behind the already eliminated Chris Jonathan Leach. A win tonight would be very paramount for him, because if he picks up a win tonight, he all but solidifies his place in the championship for at Phoenix.
Yeah, and for those drivers that we highlighted too at the top of the show and before this last restart, mainly Christopher Reeves, Chris Otto, and Chris Jones. Between those 3, the goal is just to beat one another. And for Chris Reeves, the goal is simple: just finish ahead of Otto and Jones. And you're as good as gold in terms of keeping yourself in the top 4, because both Chris Otto and Chris Jones are outside of the top 4. Chris Otto 5 points out, and Chris Jones 6 points out. So very slim margins there. So the slightest mistake could cost one of those drivers a shot. But for Chris Reese, it's just, okay, keep those two drivers behind me the whole race, finish ahead of them, and it really doesn't matter where I finish ahead of them, as long as they're behind me. So that's got to be his focus this afternoon if he wants to make sure that he's there to fight for a championship come Phoenix.
Battle now again for the lead. Tommy Gossett trying to get the lead away from Christopher Takis. Going to be a little tight there off of the corner as the 43 and the 46 going to be dead even as they head down this long back straightaway, and then the 46 should have the advantage going into 3.
You are able, as I said, you are able to put up a little bit of curb there from the 43. That's not something you want to do. That's going to open up the door for Leach to go to his inside, and Roberts might be able to take advantage of it as well if he gets the momentum down the straight. Draft a big factor, always is a big factor here at Indy.
Yeah, it's always going to be a factor with these long racetrack. This is just a long racetrack in general. I'm going to repeat it a lot tonight, folks, with just how incredible this track is, just a big square. And the draft is going to be paramount for a lot of these drivers tonight. How about Jonathan Leach having a really good run right here at the beginning? Up in second place right now in that 48, already eliminated. But that 43 is going to start hounding him here in a minute. But again, a good run for that 48. Chris colors that resemble the Ally financial scheme that Jimmy Johnson runs in the Cup Series.
Yeah, always a little bit of motivation for those drivers that get eliminated the round before. Coming into the next race, you kind of go back out with a vengeance. Like, I still deserve to be fighting for this championship, and I'm going to prove it to you guys. And that's kind of the message that Leach is looking to send here early on as he's under fire again from the 43 of Gossett.
Here comes Gossett to the inside. You saw the 46 get way down to that pit wall to try and pick up any sort of speed that he can, but move the Petty Blue 43 back into second place. In that Chevy Camaro, he'll set his sights again on Takis. This is a big race for Takis because coming in tonight, he sits about 11 points behind Chris Otto for 5th and then a full 16 behind Reese. Yeah, he would really need a win tonight, and for Reese to fall further back in the field if he wants a shot at making a championship 4. And it would be a disappointment because Takis has been such a dominant car throughout the season. Almost won Texas, won a couple races after that. So it would be a disappointment to not see one of the more dominant cars of the year not in the Final 4.
Yeah, it's almost kind of a winner-go-home situation for Takis because a win will get you 90 points, Carlos, and that's a lot of points. But you got to look at he's only 16 points out, so he's while he's not as close as Otto and Jones as you see the 43 now of Gossett making a move to his inside. But while you look at Otto and Jones, who are only 5 and 6 points out coming into this race, 16 points back is still not completely out of the reach. And with a win, obviously that makes his chances a lot better. But it's all going to just depend on what kind of days that his competitors have in front of them, and if they're able to finish well.
Get a look at the Chris Do number 88 of Chris Otto. He's got the already locked in Chris Bass right behind him. In the 7th spot, Reese just ahead of him. Just a lot of just championship caliber up here in this top 10 as they're going to complete lap 13 of 80 right here. 68 laps still to go tonight from the Yard of Bricks.
Looking at Chris Bass now, who we saw make a good charge on that restart, settle into 7th. The tires will start to fall off, Carlos, around maybe 4 or 5 laps under green is where you start to feel the car start to push a little bit, getting down into turn 1. Turn 1 is by far and away the tightest of the corners here. And a lot of it has to do with believe it or not, the wind. The wind usually blows hard onto that corner of the racetrack, and it does tighten up that car quite a bit. Bass now fighting off the 37 of Meza, and he's going to tow along the 01 of Lawrence as well.
Doesn't shock me because Chris Raul Mesa was all with running Chris Cup last week at Rockingham. He also ran the race that we also covered here, the TechHub.TV Cup Series race the next night, and he had a really, really good outing in that race. Was running top 10 throughout the majority of that one, and I'm expecting to see him again tomorrow night. So he's been really picking up the skill as of late, been able to consistently run up in the top groups without much contest.
It's a pretty good pack back here that we're seeing from about 7th on back. Our top 6 have been able to make a comfortable gap between one another, but then you've got this big cluster of cars back here all feeding off one another's draft. And a lot of guys that are still trying to throw some Hail Marys, trying to get into those final fours. You see Bass with a huge run off of 4 on Chris Lawrence. And right behind those two, Chris Jones trying to hold off Chris Cotilla as well in that 4 machine.
Chris Cotilla, one of the other newcomers here tonight. Wouldn't quite call them rookies because they haven't run the full year. Most of them making their debut here tonight. They're in that Chris Wrench number 4, running 11th right now, so not doing too shabby of the 16 cars that still remain out on the racetrack.
It's about the point in the season, Carlos, where you start to see a lot of new faces start to show up to these league races in preparation for next season. They like to come in late in the season and kind of get a feel for the competition, see what the racing is like, see if they like the attitude of the league, see how everybody treats one another, kind of get a feel and make the decision whether or not they want to show up for next season.
Yeah, so glad to have these guys running tonight. They're all running right now in a row, 11th, 12th, and 13th. Chris Cotilla being the top one with Bowler in the middle, and Chris Matos running the 17 tonight. Typically, we see the 17 with the 12 tonight of Chris Noblet has nearly had an issue back here with the 17. Him and Chris Hubka, who we haven't seen in quite a bit, had a little bit of tangle there through that first tunnel turn and nearly caused our second caution.
Yeah, 17 got a little bit loose off of 1 there and was able to hang on to it. Might have just kissed the wall a little bit, but this is around the point in the run where we're really going to see the pace kind of fall off and these guys really start to struggle with the handling because like I touched on, the track temp right now is 130 degrees Fahrenheit, Carlos. That is scorching track temp. Absolutely no grip out there whatsoever. And you start to put some wear on these tires and they really start to tighten up. But that's when you start to get a lot of 4-wheel slides. If you're just a hair offline in any of these corners, that wall will come at you fast, and it's almost impossible to save it without coming to quite near a complete stop.
Lap 17 is on the board. Tommy Gossins opened up a near 2-second lead over Christopher Takis. You won't miss a thing as we go side by side.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me. And the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
Back here at Indianapolis, lap 20 going on the board. We'll see 60 laps to go when we get to the line here. Chris Tommy Gossett still well in control. And by control, Logan, I mean complete control. 3.1 second lead over second place Christopher Takis.
Yeah, and while he's got a massive lead on the rest of the field, there's an absolute cracker of a battle right now for 9th, 10th, or 8th, 9th, and 10th right now between the 01 of Lawrence, the 33 of Jones, and the 37 of Meza. Just a dogfight going on for these three spots right now. Been watching it for a little bit there while we were in commercial. They've single filed out now, but there was a couple 3 wide looks there. Just awesome racing, but I've been in these situations before. These guys got to be careful because the battling like that for too long will just cook your tires here at Indy.
Chris Matos just got into the fence again for the second time in this race, and now he's behind Chris Hubka, so I'm expecting him to maybe potentially start losing the draft a little bit there, so a tough break for the 17, and back at that battle, man, quite the battle at that, a 4-course race right now, and it involves Chris Jones, who is fighting for a spot in the championship 4. He's 10th right now. He would be out as of right now, as Chris Otto's a bit in front of him, so something we're just going to have to keep documenting. We're still fairly early into this one, only just past the quarter mark.
Yeah, and because we don't have any real live updates with the points as they run like we would in the real world, a lot of what we covered today would be our best guess here, Carlos. So as they run right now, just considering that Reese is ahead of both Otto and Jones, it would look like it would be Reese, Noblet, Roberge, and Bass in the final 4 as they run. Obviously, like you said, a long way to go, so that could change as the 4 now gets by Chris Jones quite easily. And that makes me think, Carlos, that the tires are really starting to fall off for these guys. And on the topic of tires, one thing to point out, too, is they've only got 5 sets for this race.
Looking at it, Noblet came into tonight's race at 222 points. Otto is sitting about 12 points behind him, I think. No, that still would be enough for Noblet to get in by just a hair.
Yeah, because Noblet is running in plumb last right now, at least in terms of cars on track. He's currently running in 16th. He's about 10 seconds back from Chris Corvallo in 15th right now. So really struggling to find the pace. I've been watching him just make sure there wasn't any sort of damage on there, and it's just something as simple. I just think he's struggling to find any sort of speed here. So we'll see if he's able to figure something out and turn that around. But as you like you said, I think he'd be good by just a hair in terms of making it in as they run. So we'll see how that plays out throughout the afternoon. We got to be close to coming up on guys coming to pit road here, Carlos.
Now, 18 laps into this run, so within the next 5 to 7 laps, we'll start seeing guys duck into pit. Now, Logan, it wouldn't be a horrible idea to potentially short pit and see if you can break some sort of a strategy out, but you know what, a track as big as this, I don't think the risk is worth the reward.
Yeah, because the issue you run with that is well, you can try and short pit is usually you kind of cut it close in terms of making it the full distance. So it's almost best to kind of just stretch the strategy as far as it'll go, run the tank to empty, and then race with that. But you're right, we could see some strategy be played here by some of the guys that are a little more confident by doing that. That window should be opening up soon.
And folks, if you're just joining us, here we are at the Chris the Bricks. That's going to trip me up all night long. Chris the Bricks 200 at the Brickyard, powered by SimNut Racing Sims. I'm Carlos Zimmerman. Alongside of me tonight from his home in California, Logan Brick, you lost your name for a second there, Logan. That's not good. Man, we've
Hey,
had
you
a
moved
pretty...
me up to California, too.
Did I put you in California? You're in
I'm in Arizona.
Arizona. I was one state too far.
That's all good.
I thought you were Sam for a minute. My mistake. Yeah, no, he's in Arizona, and you know, me and Logan were talking during the break. Logan's tired. I think I am too. But we're glad to bring this to you tonight, folks. The fourth race of this playoffs of the 5 races. Next week, same time, same great channel. We'll be at Phoenix International Raceway for the final race of the season. We'll see whoever comes out of tonight as the championship 4. They'll duel out for a winner-take-all to win the first season of the Chris Cup Series. Chris Tommy Gossett, he has been dominant tonight.
Yeah, continues to open up that lead. He's opened it up now to 5 seconds over Chris Takis. And Takis still showing some good speed as well as he's opened it up. He's opened his gap up to about 3 seconds over Chris Leach, who's now falling back into the clutches of Chris Reese, who's a guy that's fighting to keep his spot in the Final 4. Showing some good speed here late in the run as he's closing in on Leach. And Chris Roberge, who I brought up, having that little contact with the wall under yellow, doesn't really seem to be affecting him too much. Does that damage on the left front, which is good to see. You hate to see a guy's day fall into the clutches of trouble just because of a little, just a little error, such as the one he had under caution. But no harm, no foul on that 98 machine, it seems, as he's under pressure from Chris Bass, who's made a charge since that last restart.
Logan, might need you to cover for me, having a little bit of technical issues on my side. But yeah, what a night so far for the 43 of Chris Tommy Gossett. And we'll just see if he continues to keep this pace throughout the night.
So you mentioned, Carlos, the idea of guys throwing some strategy, and I think we've just seen that for the first time. Chris Jones coming out just in front of that group that we were focusing on a second ago from his first green flag pit stop. So 4 tires and fuel for him on lap 25. We'll see if anybody else follows suit. Looks like Chris Mattos in the 17 is also in his box as well, just completed his service. Chris Lawrence also coming down pit road. So starting to see those these start to look like they're scheduled stops. I'm not sure if this is a big strategy call being made. It is lap 27. That is what we spoke to the drivers about, and they told us lap 27 laps is going to be that fuel window. So looks like it's right on the money there. That will obviously change for some drivers who have spent a little bit more time in the draft than others. Maybe spent a little more time off throttle trying to save tires as well. Jones unlapping himself to from our leader, Chris Takis. Excuse me. Chris Takis is running second. Chris Gossett being our race leader.
Folks, still trying to sort out the technical issues on my side as for the moment. I apologize for any not great camera angles as you're not really able to see the action, and we got it back. All right, cool. As soon as I say it, we fix it. All right. Whew! Dodged a bullet with that one as, yeah, Logan, pit stops starting to happen. Looks like everyone that just pitted is back onto the racetrack. Wow, Noblet. Oh, no, he didn't pit. I'm sorry. Just about everybody went 4 tires and fuel there as expected. No sort of strategy play. Got 4 more cars in the pits now. Chris Cotila, Chris Raul Mesa, Chris Hubka, and I believe, yeah, that's it. Just 3 of them in the pits right now.
No drama entering pits, which is good to see. We've emphasized how tough this pit road was to get on and off of. More so to get on than it is off. It's a pretty simple exit for these guys running on the access road. There's quite a bit of grip there on that access road coming off a pit road. Quite a good amount of rubber gets laid down there throughout the course of a simulated race weekend. Chris Takis yet to come in pit road as well, and Chris Gossett still on the racetrack as well.
About our top 6 that have not come down from Gossett, Takis, Reese, Bass, Leach, and Roberge. Those that have not pit yet. Chris Clifford Corvo just making his first pit stop tonight. He's currently in the pits. Whoa.
Gossett coming in now.
Takis got really close to that wall. I think he's having some sort of connection issues as Gossett and Takis are making their way in now, and it looks like Reese is going to stay out and lead a lap.
Takis came in there pretty hot. I think he got it woed down in time, but you're right. He is having a little bit of internet issues there. A couple blinks.
Chris Leach just nailed the commitment cone. Not like it matters, as it's going to just move off of the racetrack, as there is Roberge, who is now the race leader.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I went back and I looked. The 48's getting a little squirrely under braking. Does get it down to 60, but gives the commitment cone quite a punt. RIP yellow cone. It's one of the iRacing memes there. Well known throughout the community.
Roberge right now, the only car on the racetrack. Not pitting, as he is now going to make that hard left and head into the pits. Gets it woed down to 55, and he should be good to go to complete the stop.
Carlos, I think Chris Bass just jumped quite a few spots during these green flag stops. I'm going back to take a look to see if there were any mistakes from our leaders there, but I think Chris Bass had quite a good green flag stop. Came into pit road running 5th. The stop cycle through, and he was the first off of pit road after Tommy Gossett. So, or after Chris Gossett. So a really good, a fantastic pit stop for Chris Bass.
Yeah, so this is really going to benefit him big time. He's up into the 6th spot right there, as you see him fly by on your screen. And someone who did not have a good stop, the 46, who's in 7th right now, Chris Takis.
Yeah, I'm waiting to see where that cycles out, because a few guys, Chris Roberge is coming off pit road, but Chris Noblet has not yet pit. He's currently running second, or he will be scored as the leader this time by when he cycles around. Chris Gossett then will cycle out to the race lead, I believe. We'll see here. Chris Gossett might actually be the leader now. He is the leader now. Noblet in second. So you're right. A bad cycle of stop, or a bad pit stop for Chris Takis, as he said, falling from 2nd all the way down to 7th.
Yeah, so, not great by any stretch. I believe Chris Noblet is the only one on racetrack that has not come down to pit yet, so he should cycle out.
Correct.
And then that'll move everyone up one position. Here's another guy who didn't have a good pit stop. Well, actually, he was further back already to begin with. The cycle is still not. It's throwing me off a little bit. I was talking about Chris Clifford Corva, but he was already running back there. So we're just waiting on the 12 of Noblet to pit, and that'll officially cycle everything over. And man, that benefited the 01 of Christopher Lawrence big time. He's going to cycle out in 2nd.
Yeah, so one thing we'll have to watch for, too, that we've seen at so many other tracks earlier this season is just what the tire fall-off does, how these guys will then swap their positions. Some of the guys that we saw, as you said, Chris Lawrence and Chris Otto, 2 guys that have worked their way up into the top 5 now, just from those pit stops alone. We'll see where they cycle back to once their tires start to fall off, and the guys behind with a little bit fresher tires that pitted later than they did. We'll see what kind of ground they make up and what time they gain.
Chris Otto starting to run down the 01 right now. This is going to be getting interesting, because when Noblet cycles around, it's going to be even tighter in terms of those points. If Otto moves up to 3rd and Noblet's all the way back down to 16th, as there you see it, there goes Noblet into the pits. Oh, that is just going to be so close. I believe I'm doing the math correctly. It would put Otto in by 1 point.
Yes, I believe you're correct. The math are correct. There's a spot between both Otto and Reese. So now Otto is in, but again, we'll see where this cycles out. We'll see what the tire differential ends up being here. About maybe another 10, 12 laps or so when those tires start to fall off on Otto's machine, and Reese still has a little bit left, because they did pit I believe, on different laps. Reese's pit stop was on lap 30. Auto pit on lap 27. So there is about 3 laps difference on those tires. So we'll see when that comes into play and see if Reese can close down that gap a little bit.
Logan, I want to document something. Just big-time connection issues on the 46 of Christopher Takis. Oh, it is just not... His night is just getting bad to worse. A bad pit stop and now internet problems are starting to plague the 46. And if that continues, his night and a shot at making the championship 4 are all but dashed.
Yeah, he's really struggling here now. I'm on him now, watching him now, and he's spending more time being off the racetrack. In fact, there he goes. He is just disconnected from the session. So that will ultimately put him off the lead lap. And unless this race is filled with cautions to the end of this thing, I think that's going to be all she wrote in terms of his championship push.
With that happening, we're on lap 37 of 80, just approaching the halfway mark. Chris Tommy Gossett putting a clinic on the rest of this field. The 14 cars on the lead lap. He's got a 16-second lead over the 01 of Christopher Lawrence. You're watching the Chris Cup Series here on the Flatout Racing Network, powered by SimNut Racing Sims.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
Just about at the halfway point of this one from Speedway, Indiana, the Brickyard. Here tonight for the Chris the Bricks 200. Once again, I'm Carlos Zimmerman, Logan Brickey alongside of me. Been an interesting race so far. It's been all Chris Tommy Gossett, so really don't have to talk about him all too much this evening. Really, we can just focus back here on this battle to see who's going to be in the top 4, as that field now of those that are chasing the top 4 has shrunk just a little bit.
Yeah, and right now, Christopher Reese is holding strong. He's running 3rd on the track, but he's holding on to that 4th and final spot for next weekend's championship race. Chris Otto is going to be the next, let's see, between Jones and Otto. Yeah, Chris Otto is going to be the next highest runner, and then it's Chris Jones. Christopher Lawrence is running 4th on the racetrack right now. So he's putting up a fight, but I just think he's just too far out of reach. He's 33 points coming in here. He's gonna pass. He's gonna jump over Chris Takis. Takis is now back in the session. Oh, he's actually disconnected once again. So Chris Takis has scored 16, 4 laps down. Chris Lawrence should jump over him, but I don't think he's going to be able to have enough to even with a win. If Otto and Jones have good days, I don't think it's going to be enough for him to bound his way up into the top 4.
Yeah, he's sitting in 5th right now, like you said, putting up a fight. So, giving it his best effort to try and make a push forward, but it's just going to be too little, too late. As documented, folks, Chris Bass, he is locked in with his performances in this his performance at Rockingham. So he's all but set and ready to go. And his performances at Chicagoland and Homestead were stellar as well. So I was talking to Logan during the break. As he's locked in, this is a big chance for him to win the title. Picked up his first win of the year way back at Texas in a last lap wreck that also involved Christopher Takis, and he has not looked back since. He's picked up a couple more wins since then. He's riding a hot streak right now to just get a championship that's really his to lose at this point, but don't count out the potential 3 behind him. With Robert's where he's running right now and with where he was in points, he's all but locked in as well. So it's really down to 3rd all the way back into 6th as to who will take the final 2 spots.
Well, so it's interesting you say that it's his championship to lose, Carlos, and normally I would agree with you, but he's had a phenomenal season. He's obviously done everything right in this postseason to make his gap what it is. Just so you know, folks, it's 321 points to the next closest being Roberge in 2nd with 240. So an 80-point gap over 2nd in points in this postseason, but that all is going to be that's all going to be null and void going into Phoenix. All 4 of these the 4 drivers that make it onto Phoenix are all going to be on level playing field. The highest finisher wins the championship out of those 4. So while it's at this point in time, it's his championship to lose. That's like gets wiped clean next week at Phoenix.
I'm still going to stand by that point because with how well he's run at short tracks this year, that's why I still stand by it.
Sure.
His run at Rockingham last week, which is, basically a short track. If not for Tommy Gossett, he likely could have won the race at Rockingham last week had it not been for the 43. So think about that for a minute. And then, there's other racetracks where he's been good. I know he got his first win at a cookie cutter track, but he shows short track speed as well. So that's why I still stand by it as to why he's definitely the odds-on favorite to win the title. But like you said, slate is wiped clean next week at the Speedway at Phoenix, and it's going to be a fun one to say the least, and that's why this door is open for anybody who makes the top 4. And the other guy, like I said also during the break that I wanted to document, is that car sitting in 3rd, Christopher Reese. He has quietly just worked his way through this postseason, has got himself in a good spot right now. If he can keep his car clean the rest of the way and pull out a top 3, he is definitely going to be into the Final 4, and watch out for that guy to maybe just make a play for the title next week at Phoenix.
Yeah, winless on the season, if I'm correct in saying so, and he's put up a fantastic fight here so far throughout these first 3 races, and is putting on a great show here. Fantastic effort here at Indy. Been in the top 5 all race long, except for the few laps that we were cycling through green flag stops, of course. So just a fantastic effort, almost a Matt Crafton-like effort there, making a charge to get into the Final 4 and then go for the championship without ever getting a win this season. So just an absolute god-tier effort from Christopher Reese in that 62.
Running that Ricky Bobby scheme that Kurt Busch made famous just a few years ago, running that at Talladega. He's been having that scheme as of late, pretty much all season long. So he is definitely going to have that, that Cougar. That's really going to give him a lot of power. Going through the rest of this one, 35 laps to go still this evening. As I've got a battle back here for the 4th spot. Haven't had a lot of battles today, but it is between Christopher Lawrence and the 48 of Chris Leach.
Got to give it to the 01, man. He's down in the standings. Mathematically, it's not looking good for him, but he has not given up. As you see, making a move on Chris Leach for 4th, doing everything he can to get every spot that he can gather up this afternoon, and just make a final charge to see if just something goes wrong for the other 3 in front of him. See if he can make a last-ditch attempt to sneak his way into the top 4. Good, solid run from him so far here today.
You see Chris Tomigaza just still running away with this one tonight, folks. He has been on a tear. Really, that's the only way I can describe it. He's just been incredible tonight, just showing so much speed. His best lap of the race, the only one that was ever even close to matching it was actually, well, Chris Leach has had the fastest lap tonight, but regardless, he's got the best car on the racetrack right now by a full 3/10, and then you have to go even about a full second further back to find the next fastest car. He has just been able to work the setup well tonight. He's poised to pick up yet another win. He won at Rockingham last week, and he's looking to do it again here tonight at the Speedway at Indianapolis.
Yeah, won Rockingham in a very similar commanding fashion, but you know, we still got at least one more cycle of green flag stops coming up here. Something drastic could happen. We'll see. We'll see how things turn out. We've learned a lesson many times not to wrap the race up before it's ended, because something always seems to happen late in one of these things. But certainly a commanding lead and the commanding race for him so far.
Looking at the telemetry right now, with Gossett, he's got about 9 laps left on his current run. So expect to maybe see him within the next 6 to 7 laps. Cars that are in the top 5, or top 10 for that matter, that are currently close right now to getting there. That is Christopher Lawrence there. He's about 4 laps away from pitting, and then also the 88 of Chris Otto, something we'll have to watch here in the next few laps to see them making the duck for pit lane on the front stretch.
So I'm thinking that our window here for these guys would be around lap 53, 54 is what they would need to make it to lap 80. Remember, it's about a 27 lap window. So I'd say if you could stretch it to lap 54, lap 55, give yourself that little buffer. That's what I would shoot for if I'm able to get there in terms of when I'd be hitting pit road for that final stop.
I'm going to look through the field here, see if anyone's just having some great runs tonight. Yeah, Chris Raumesa up there in 7th in that D. Chris 37. He's having a solid night. Expect to see him again tomorrow night for the TechUp.TV Cup Series race at Atlanta Motor Speedway. That's where we'll be tomorrow. Myself and Warren Keith will be on the call for that one. Hope you join us then. At about 8:20 Central Time, 9:20 Eastern is when we'll hit the green flag out there in Hampton, Georgia. But a good run tonight for that number 37. Another one also, newcomer, Chris Cotila, running up in 10th right now. I know it was a small field, folks. I'm aware of that. You know, top 10 tonight effectively isn't really a true top 10 with how being such a small field. But if he comes out in there and gets a top 10 in his debut, that's a win in of itself.
Yeah, starting your debut off on a good note, getting that top 10, getting your name added onto the stat sheet with the top 10 column there. So it's a good way to make your mark there as the new name on the relative list. Another guy though, I mean, Chris Bass, he started 12th. He's up to 2nd. So he's been on a phenomenal drive and he's shown the most speed out of our chasers. And he continues, as you say, as you were touching on earlier, that he's giving us every reason to believe that he is the guy to beat in this championship coming next week, even though I think it levels out the playing field, as it's just whoever has the best race out of the 4 will win it all.
So, yeah, that's the thing that's been with Chris Bass this season. He hasn't really had great qualifying runs, to say the least, but he always tends to just show it up with his racings on under green flags. So he's definitely in a good spot right now to just come out with a P2, and unless something drastic happens, and when we head to the pits here in just a moment, we'll see cars into the pits. So something we're going to watch for Chris Bass. He knows how to close things. He's a lot, you know, who do they call him in the Cup Series? Kevin Harvick, the closer.
The closer. Absolutely. Yeah, not one for the real short run speed. We have seen him be probably the most aggressive on restarts out of anybody this season, but hasn't really been there for the short run speed. But man, in these long runs, he's really been able to put some laps down and make the most of what he's got.
We're just past 30 laps to go right now. 15, just to give you a little bit of a reset, folks, 15 cars on the racetrack, 12 of them on the lead lap. They're going to be starting to be slowly picked off by the 43 of Chris Tommy Gossett. He is currently trying to slowly work his way through this lap. I think he'll be running up on lap traffic here pretty soon. He's got the 5 and the 82 in his sights. So he'll try to lap those guys before they head to the pits. It's going to be very close, though, as no one, Logan, has made any intention to head to pit road like I had been predicting.
Yeah, I think that the reason for that is because they're stretching it. They're making sure that they have enough.
I may have spoke too soon. Chris Jones, he's in the pits.
We'll see. I think it might have to do a little bit of saving because we were talking to him and they said that 27 laps was what the window was, and he's got about. Well, I guess technically he is in on lap 53. That would put us at 27 laps to go. So, well, a little bit of saving maybe coming into play, just a little bit of easier out laps, but we'll see. So far, he's the only one that's made the dive on the pit road. I think everybody else is thinking that they want to stretch it so that they're comfortable to the finish.
He had an issue there in pit lane. He overshot his pit box, Logan, there at the start. That's going to cost him at least a second of time, and every second is precious at a track like Indianapolis, so that's going to cost him just a little bit. We'll see if it really costs him in the long run. Currently 13th, a lap down, one of 3 or 4 laps down. So I'm looking through here, trying to see anyone making a move. Not quite yet.
No, I think around 54, 55 is when we'll see guys come to pit road, but I've been wrong before. I could be wrong again. But I think guys just want to make sure that they're comfortable in terms of coming down to the finish.
Trying to watch it here. Not really any difference amongst the top 3 in terms of when they pitted. They all pit at the same time. Up in 4th right now is Lawrence and Otto. They both pit at the same lap as well. Leach in 6th pit with the leaders.
Got another car coming on the pit road. It is the 17 of Chris Matos diving on. He seems to be the only one for the time being. Right around that pit window, though.
2 laps down right now in the 14th position. Another car making his debut here tonight in the Chris Cup Series. He'll make it into his pit box here. Let's see if he gets in cleanly, and he will, and he'll start getting his crew to begin work on his machine. Chris Tommy Gossett right now, 25 laps to go this evening at Indy. Working through some lap traffic right now. Doesn't really matter. The nearest car to him in the lead lap is 26 seconds back, and that's Chris Bass. So he's right now got his eyes set on the 5 of Chris Hubka to see if he can start running him down and put him a lap down, leaving us with only 9 left on the lead lap on the racetrack.
Here comes Chris Lawrence down the pit road by himself for now. See if anybody else comes on the pit road. The 4 ducking in as well. The 5 is in. Starting to see that window open up now. Lap 57.
And just to preface it, folks, these guys, they are pretty much, these guys pitting now, they are good to go to the finish unless we somehow get into an overtime period. Then those guys will have to start worrying about it. So I'm expecting the leaders to maybe come in a couple laps later to compensate for that overtime period.
Yeah, and at the rate our leaders putting down laps, there's Chris Reeves coming down the pit road. Chris Gossett working on lap 57 right now. The 88, oh, here come a whole flock of them now. The 88, the 37, and the 48 coming down the pit road, as well as the 62, like I said just a moment ago. They're all on pit road. Chris Gossett choosing to stay out another lap here, working lap 48 now, or excuse me, lap 58. He might be stretching this to about 20 to go before he comes in, so that if we do have that scenario of very late race restart, he might be able to hang on to that track position.
Ooh, Leach overshot his pit box a little bit there. That's going to cost him some time. He's going to lose more spots on the racetrack as the 62. 88 and 37, they will get away. Whoa, the 88 did not get away as fast as I thought he would. All he did. So Leach came in with these guys just ahead of the 37, I believe, and now he's going to come out last. So a tough break for him. Hopefully to rebound. 97, he's now in the pits, Logan.
Yeah, he needs a good entry here. He actually had a pretty good entry here, but he needs a good solid stop in his box. Comes to rest there, perfect, and it's an easy stop for that 97 machine.
So leaving us with just 3 cars on the racetrack that have not pitted yet, that being the 43, the leader, the 98 there in second of Chris Roberge, and the lap down machine of Chris Noblet, who's still trying to fight to maintain his place, as looks like Gossett here just continuing to stay out, and not a horrible move at that, because he's only got 1 car left on the lead lap with him, and that's Chris Roberge.
Yeah, just going to stretch it as long as he can at this point and give it his all in the final stint just to see how far he can open up that gap. It's pretty gargantuan in size right now. Not a whole lot for him to lose.
And really not a lot, as he will now bring it in to the pits. The outside pole sitter here this afternoon, Christopher Takis, he won the pole, but out of the race and out of contention for the championship for 16th place, 23 laps down. That's where he's going to finish out tonight. Just a rough end to an incredible season for that number 46.
Yeah, he gave it his all every race, and you look back on that race at Texas, Carlos, where he and oh gosh, I can't even remember who it was
Chris
caught
Morse.
up in that. I'm sorry,
Chris Morse.
Chris Morse. That's right. He and Chris Morse were caught up in that wreck on the last lap entering turn 3 that handed Chris Bass his first win of the season. You look back on that, and I honestly think that was one of the deciding factors. And then there's another race later in the season in Atlanta. You know, he was dominated that race, and it had a lag coming up pit road, and it forced him to speed entering pits, and that was his race over as well. Granted, both of those races, of course, were before the chase, but those playoff points were missed out on because of those 2 unfortunate events, neither of which really were his fault, Carlos.
No, not really. They're his fault at all. So it's just been he's had his ups and downs. He's got a couple wins this year at other racetracks, so just he's just probably looking ahead to season 2 of Chris Cup and hoping that'll benefit him, as Chris Tommy Gossett's back out on the racetrack in the lead, has a 5.7 second lead over Chris Roberge, who hasn't even pit yet. So when we see the 98 make his pit stop, that'll officially cycle things around. I know Noblet, he hasn't pit either, but he's going to be off the lead lap when he pits. So we won't worry about the 12 just yet, when it comes to in terms of points, where everyone's cycled out, Adam. Of our guys competing for a championship, Reese will cycle out 3rd. Christopher Lawrence is going to be 4th. Jones 5th. And then Chris Otto in 6th, with Noblet probably going to be ending up 14th after everything cycles around.
Yeah, so as they run right now, it's still going to be Reese hanging on to that final spot in 4th. Chris Otto, as you said, running in 7th. Chris Jones running in 6th, and then Chris Otto in 7th. So both having good days, but it's not going to do them any good if they finish behind Christopher Reese. So they need to find another gear, find a little bit of more speed if they want to have a shot at bumping Chris Reese out and getting one of them inside the top 4.
Looking at it right now, Reese has about a 4-second gap over the 33 of Chris Jones, and then even a 7-second gap, or 8-second gap almost, over the 88 of Chris Otto. So Chris Reese, he's sitting pretty right now to get into the playoffs with his performance here tonight. 19 laps to go here tonight at Indianapolis. It's been a pretty pedestrian race, if you will. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
We have a little bit of the closest battle on the racetrack right now is the 48 and the 37. Leach in the 48 and Meza in the 37. They're also catching Chris Otto.
Chris Otto, yeah.
So It's about to be a 3-car battle here for the 6th spot in just a moment.
If I'm Chris Reese, Carlos, I look in the mirror and I see Chris Lawrence between him and Chris Jones. Should it come down to it, if I know that I'm in the catbird seats between, man, I had to pause there for a second. Chris Jones really fell off. I thought he was right behind the 01, but must have got really loose there earlier in the lap that made him fall back. But regardless, should Chris Lawrence catch Christopher Rees here late in this race, if I want to solidify that I'm going to make it into the Final Four, so I wouldn't expect him to battle too hard. Should Lawrence catch Rees for third, I would think he just lets him go and make sure that he finishes this race, because all he's got to do, like we said, is beat Jones and Otto, and the chance at racing for a championship is as good as his.
Laps are ticking away here tonight at Indianapolis. It's been a really quick one tonight, folks. Just an hour into this broadcast, and we're getting down to the last of this one. We'll go side by side one final time, and then we'll take you to the end of this one. Chris Tommy Gossett, he's well in control of this race tonight, really setting pretty for yet another win in the Chris Cup Series. We'll be right back here on FRN.
Since the VFW was founded, their mission was really to look out for the veterans community, to make sure that our nation upholds its promise to really care for the service member, the veteran, and his or her family. There are several ways that the VFW fights for veterans today. The top services include disability claims assistance, advocacy on Capitol Hill and with the Department of Veterans Affairs. We also offer scholarship opportunities, and then also volunteerism. For me personally, when I came back from Iraq, my life experience was drastically different from those around me, and the veterans of foreign wars really spoke to me. The reason I would encourage veterans who have served overseas today to join the VFW is because this is your organization. The VFW is for veterans. Every generation, a new generation of leaders steps up in the veterans of foreign wars and fights for the veterans community.
The Veterans of Foreign Wars. No one does more for veterans. For more information on the VFW, go to ahctv.com/sacrifice.
Closing in on 13 laps to go here tonight in Indianapolis. Lap 68 about to go on the board here. Getting down to the nitty-gritty of this one. Chris Tommy Gossett well in complete control of this one. He's cleared all lap traffic, no issues in front of him or behind him, and he is set to win this thing, barring a late race caution.
Yeah, pretty smooth sailing for him, and honestly, our top four are all back into the clutches of this 4-car group, so a little bit of entertainment awaits us here as these four battle for the 5th position, a chance at a top 5 to round out this race this afternoon.
Chris Mesa, he is trying to he is all over the 33, hoping that he'll make a mistake. Ooh, really really tight there. Makes a big slide move to the inside of him, but didn't have the run. Instead, the 88's going to have a chance here to make a pass.
Yeah, he's taking a look to the inside there, takes advantage of the lack of momentum. He might get 2 birds with 1 stone here. That's exactly what's going to happen as he gets around Chris Jones. Very close off of turn 1. And he's going to get the job done going in the 2. Nice move from the 88 off of 4 there.
Nearly took the nose off of the Chris Spice machine of Chris Jones. So move the 88 P5 for the time being. Really looking good right now. Running pretty much out of time to try and run down the 62, but this battle may not be over, Logan.
Yeah, and what they could be racing for here, Carlos, is, you know, the highest finisher of these two would get in should something happen to Reese that would cause him to drop back behind these two. So this isn't wasted effort here. Anything can happen in these final 12 laps. So should something happen to Reese, the highest finisher between Jones and Otto would get themselves into the top 4, but you see Jones really dropping back out of this group quickly as he's under pressure now from the 48. I got to think that the tires are gone on that 33 machine.
Yeah, they are about all but gone. So their races is pretty much, in terms of running for a championship, are pretty much dashed unless something really bad happens to the 62 of Reese, to knock on wood, if you will. But he is sitting really good right now. And these guys right here, led by Chris Otto, not far behind them is the race leader in Chris Tommy Gossett.
Yeah, which is it's borderline impressive. He's Chris Gossett rounding turn 4.
Oh! Alright, good job there, Logan.
Yeah, no, that big move from the 37 off of 4. I thought maybe he was almost wrecking. He darted to the inside so quick. He's going to wash up here, though. A little undercut from the 88. Not something you see too often here at Indy, but that's what happens when you carry too much speed in the 1, and it's going to open up the door for Chris Jones to take action as well.
Well, Mesa's not quite done yet. He's still sticking it on the outside. Mega loose on the exit of turn number 2, still battling with the 88. As the sun has gone down here at Indy for just a minute, or just been blocked by some clouds, so the racetrack is going to start cooling off bit by bit.
Yeah, it gains a little bit of grip in that cloud cover, so you're starting to see guys feel a little bit more grip in their cars. They've been tight for the past few laps, and then that cloud cover comes in, gives them a little bit more grip, and they start to feel a little bit more racy. So making a little bit of aggressive moves, but as you said, Chris Gossett is just lurking in the shadows there of this lead group, and the 12 as well, being a lap.
Chris Outlet's starting to work his way through some of these guys. Last car off the lead lap, still sitting pretty right now to be in the championship 4, pending nothing else goes wrong for him. He could only potentially lose 1 more spot if something bad happens to him. So we'll have to see. I'm looking through here. It looks like cloud cover is covering just about all bits of the racetrack except the front straightaway.
So the interesting thing, we kind of almost forgot about this situation with Noblet, is he's currently running 13th 1 lap down. He's in this mix right now. You see him behind Chris Jones in that 33. Is he far enough back to where Chris Reese should jump over him, but is Noblet far enough back that it might give Otto a chance to get inside this top 4?
Gotta think. I'm not totally sure with the math. The top 5 have a little bit of a different point system than the rest of them. I don't think it's 1 point separations between just all of them. I know you get 45 points for the win, which Gossett's going to love tonight, and then 40 for second, 30-something for third, and then so on. So that's something we'll have to go back and look at to see if that's going to be enough to push Otto into the championship 4 if Noblet stays where he's at.
So I'll look into this here real quick. I'll pull up the points, and I'll do some mental calculations here. See, is that way we want to be able to give you guys the best information we can. So stay tuned for that update. I'll burn up my calculator here for a moment. 3 wide though, by the way, going into 1. That was Gossett putting both Meza and Jones 1 lap down.
Yeah, he just got by them. Oh boy, Jones just sliding behind the 37 of Meza to avoid making contact. So looking like we're going to have just 4 cars finish on the lead lap. Gossett first, Bass second, Reese third, and Christopher Lawrence in fourth. I'm going to give a call to that 0-1. You know, he has done just about all he could tonight to try and be a factor. Of course, just too far back in points for anything to go right for him. So, but I still give a call to him, though. Running in fourth right now, one of his best runs of the season. And it couldn't have come at a better time, even though he's pretty much out of contention.
So as they run right now, Carlos, there's an 18-point gap between Chris Otto and Chris Noblet. Chris Noblet coming into this race had let's see again, more mental math here, about a 12-point gap over Chris Otto. So I think as they run, Chris Noblet could be in some pretty dire straits here. I think there's a good chance we could be looking at both Otto and Jones getting in, or excuse me, Chris Otto getting into this final 4.
You know, for Jones to be a factor to get in, he would have needed Reese to finish at least 6 spots behind him, and that's not really going to happen tonight. And
I'm just talking in terms of Chris Noblet, he's the spot ahead of coming into this race. He was ahead of Reese at 222 points to Reese's 215. But as they run right now, Chris Noblet currently scored in 13th. There's 18 points between he and Chris Otto as they run on the racetrack right now. Chris Otto has an 18-point gap on him, which should theoretically, I think, knock Noblet out of the top 4 in points.
And with that, that would move Reese to 3rd and Otto to 4th.
Otto to 4th, correct. Now, should Chris Jones find a little bit of speed here in these final 5 laps and get around Otto, then it would be Chris Jones in the top 4.
And now he's going to go side by side here with Mesa, trying to run him up the racetrack and get a good run here through the tunnel turn and then get in there and then set his sights on the 88. He clears the 37. Does the 37 attempt any sort of crossover? No, he doesn't. So now the 33 has got his eyes set on the 88. The gap between them a full second.
Not sure if they'd be aware of this scenario. And again, I could be overthinking this entirely, but I've just done the number crunching. It's double points for all these positions on the racetrack than what it was in the regular season. So it's kind of an interesting turn of events. We thought we were looking at a pretty solid top 4, but it looks like Otto is going to be able to sneak his way into the top 4.
See Noblet there now getting to the inside of the 37. I think he is aware of this. He may be potentially aware of the situation, and he doesn't want anything to go wrong, and he wants to but he's 2 laps down right now. Contact with the 37.
Yeah, a little bit of a door bang there for the 37 as well. He might have actually just got the curb a little bit. No, he just run into the back of the 12. But yeah, as you said, there's not a lot that the 12 can do. He's 2 laps down. He can't race his way back into these positions. He's defenseless in this situation.
Yeah, I really hate using this word, but he's really a sitting duck at this point. Really, nothing that could go right for him at this point, and could potentially be out of the top 4 by the end of the night. As Tommy Gossett, he is currently on the back straightaway right now, just ahead of these guys. Just continuing to put the clinic on. He is about 2 corners away from reaching 2 laps to go. The yellow comes out at the white flag, and that would end the race effectively with that white flag. So he'll come down here and he will take it, and it will be 2 laps to go here tonight in Indianapolis.
Fantastic drive for him, fantastic day for Chris Bass, and a fantastic drive for Chris Reese. They all knew what they needed to do coming out, and they put on the shows to make sure that they get themselves into the top 4. Fantastic drives for them. And from the way things looks, it's a pretty good effort as well from Chris Otto. I genuinely think he's going to be able to get his way into the top 4 with this finish today.
Gap between him and the 33 is a full second as you watch the 88 try to break any semblance of draft down the back straightaway. He really doesn't have much to worry about with that 33. Unless something drastic happens on this white flag lap, he could be looking at a place in the top 4 in the chase for the Chris Cup. As Tommy Gossett, he comes through the corner. and will come down a little loose off the corner, but no problem. He will come down, and he will take the white flag here tonight in the Chris the Bricks 200. White flag in the air for Chris Tommy Gossett.
Otto continuing to break that draft. I got to wonder if that gap is maybe closing a little bit there. He's starting to worry that the 33 is going to catch him, but it's, I think, too big of a gap now for him to catch him just on raw speed. Would need something big to happen to that 88. And what an effort from him, as I think this is a pretty solid last-ditch attempt to get into that Final Four.
He's definitely got himself in the best spot. The gap between the 88 and the 33 now is second, so you could be looking at your top four right there. Chris Bass, Chris Reese, Chris Otto, and the 98 of Chris Roberts. But out of turn number 4 here at Indy, Chris Tommy Gossett from outside pole to victory. Here tonight, he will kiss the bricks as he takes the checkered flag here tonight in the Chris the Bricks 200 at the Brickyard, powered by SimNut Racing Sims.
Chris Otto crossing the stripe in P5. Solid top 5 day from him. And I think it's going to just be enough, Carlos. I think he's just going to sneak in. Really unfortunate showing there for Chris Noblet, who was, all he needed was a good day. All he needed was a good solid finish, and he would have been locked in that final race, but just did not have the speed, did not have the pace, and it cost him. No incidents from that 12 machine. Just could not get the speed that he needed to be competitive here today, and it's going to cost him, I think, a shot at the championship.
As everyone will just start making their way towards the pits, though, Chris Tommy Gossett, he's going to come down to the start-finish line, and he's going to get ready to celebrate his just dominant victory tonight. Led just about every lap, with the exception of a couple led by Takis. And ever since then, he has been just utterly dominant. This is just going to be what we may be expecting out of him for next season. Is he has plans to run the full year, and with that kind of performances, he is definitely going to be a guy that a lot of drivers are going to be chasing after throughout next season.
Yeah, certainly. We saw the dominance early in the season from Christopher Tate, and now we're seeing it from this man here in the 43. Just an unbelievable effort from him. Really went out there and didn't give anybody else even a shot at winning this. As you said, Takis led early, but he was still outclassed by Gossett. Just nobody even close to the speed that he had this afternoon. And doing a little Polish victory lap there in celebration of that throwback 43 scheme.
Yeah, and that scheme in honor of the late John Andretti. He's got a tribute to him on that car tonight. And making a Polish victory lap, which has pretty much been his staple since joining the Chris Cup Series and winning these races. So just a big congratulations to him. You will hear from him. Also, Chris Bass, Christopher Reese, and hopefully we'll get to talk to a couple others as well as to who have worked their way into the Championship 4 and get their thoughts as they get ready for Phoenix. That'll happen on the other side of this break. You're watching the Chris Cup Series on the Flatout Racing Network, presented by SimNut Racing Sims. here at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, getting ready to talk to our top 3 finishers tonight. As you get a look at your full finishing results, top 10 there. Tommy Gossett in first, Chris Bass second, Christopher Reese third, and then a good run for Christopher Lawrence, a respectable run, last car on the lead lap. Chris Otto finishing out fifth, might be enough to make the championship 4. We'll see how that pans out. And then Christopher Jones sixth, Chris Robert seventh, Chris Raul Mesa eighth, Chris Jonathan Leach ninth, and then a good run for debuter tonight, Chris Cotila out of there in 10th. As you'll look at the rest of the finishing order, a tough break tonight for Christopher Takis, taken out pretty at the midway portion of this race due to internet issues. He finished it out in the 16th spot. Let's go ahead and we'll talk to the driver who finishes in third tonight, as we have just also received word on the official points. We'll get to that in a moment. Let's talk to third place finisher Christopher Reese. Christopher Reese, this is Carlos Zimmerman in the FRN booth. You got us?
Oh yeah, how we doing today, guys?
Doing just fine, man. You drove a really respectable race tonight. You came in with a really slim margin between you, Chris Otto, and Chris Jones, and you did just enough, I believe, to pick up the spot in the top 4. Because we're looking at the unofficial standings right now. It looks like you are third on that grid.
I kind of came in with an idea what I needed to do, and the whole idea was just try and keep the car clean, stay with the front 4 or 5 the whole race. I didn't realize it's going to spread out like that, but try and stay with the lead pack is what I kind of figured, and it just happened to work out well for me.
And yeah, I know that Gossett machine was really quick tonight, but take him out of the equation, and you're up there second, running not too far off of Chris Bass. So you had the speed tonight. Just tell me what the track felt like tonight. I know down the stretch we had some cloud cover, which may have looked like have opened up things a little bit in terms of grip.
Oh yeah, at the start of the race, the track temp was just stupid hot, and the cars were slipping and sliding all over the place. And you just had to be really careful. Then, like you said, towards the end of the race, we started getting some cloud cover, and you could run a little harder, and it's a little easier to control. I imagine that's why we went green the whole way after that first caution.
Yeah, no, as now we have word of the official point standings. You are officially third, and you are locked into the championship 4 at the Phoenix International Raceway next week. It's going to be a big one for you. Everything resets. Clean slate, top finisher wins. What's the mindset?
Basically, same thing it has been for me, at least since this chase started. I'm going to start tomorrow afternoon putting laps in there at Phoenix. It's not a track I feel very strong at, but I'll probably have 300 to 400 laps in different weather conditions before we even start running our practice stuff there.
All righty, Chris Reese, third place run for you this evening. Before I let you go, anybody want to give a shout out to?
SimNut Racing Sense for coming on board, sponsoring us. Check those guys out if you guys have a chance. I want to thank Jeffrey and the Academy for putting me here. I want to thank Chris Jones for putting all this on, and my wife for putting up with me sitting in this seat for so many hours the last few weeks.
All righty, third place finisher Christopher Reese here tonight. Third place in the championship grid. He is one of your top 4 that'll be running for a championship next week. Best of luck to you. We'll see you next week.
Thank you, guys. See you next week.
Righty, we'll go ahead and talk to our second place finisher tonight, Chris Bass. Chris Bass, this is Carlos Zimmerman in the FRN booth. You got me?
I got you.
Second place run for you tonight. You are on top of the chase grid in terms of where everything panned out tonight. A dominant performance for you between Rockingham and Indy, despite not winning either race. Just give me your thoughts on how the race went tonight here at the Land of Bricks.
It was the Gossett show, I guess. I mean, as I was telling my spotter buddy of mine, Brandon Wiggins, I looked down and thought I was a 10th off, and then realized I was a 2nd and a 10th off. So he's been helping me a lot, and he does help a lot of guys in here a lot. And it seems to work, but his technique is beyond what I can achieve right now, right at the moment. But good race for him, and it went pretty smoothly, I thought.
Just tell me how the car was feeling throughout, because I know it was going to be really slick with how high the track temps were going to be, but they kind of cooled off towards the end of that one, end of this race. Just give me your thoughts on how your car was running outside of that little bit of just a lack of speed in comparison to Tommy Gossett.
The car itself, it's a lot of fun to drive here. You kind of use the rumble strips to your advantage, and it's fun to make the car rotate through 4 different corners. It's a lot of fun. The car itself, I know the biggest thing at Indy is burning your right front off of it. So, with a little help from some guys in Discord earlier this week, technique wise, they helped me a lot, and it paid off on my end with the rest of the guys. And we're racing the green spoilers. So I guess tonight was a win, and so to speak.
Yeah, so to speak, you were the top finisher of the 8 that remained entering tonight. Now, I gotta tell you, I really hyped you up during the broadcast, being that you've performed really well at Rockingham, and you go to another short track in Phoenix next week. I know the slate is wiped clean, but I've pretty much put you as the odds-on favorite to take this championship with how well you've been performing. What's the mindset? Is it go out there and win, or keep your car clean and hope you stay ahead of Roberge, Reese, and Otto?
All the mindset will be get all you can while you can. All these guys in this series are good drivers, are good guys. But next week, you're probably going to see 4 guys that have changed their mentality completely. This isn't a race win. This isn't weekly bragging rights. This isn't, go home and your mama's going to pat you on the back. This is a championship. And, it all comes down to one race. It could be decided in one lap. And that's just the way next week's going to be. It's going to be just all-out fight.
Alrighty, second place run for you here tonight at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Before I let you go, as always, anybody you want to have a shout out to?
Yeah, the guys on the car, V1 Rotate for their support, Red Eye Designs for their awesome paint schemes and stuff they do for me, and SimNut Racing Sims for all the support they've given the league this year, and friends and family for their support. It means a lot to have a lot of people holler at you after the race is over with, so that's always feels good. You guys for a great broadcast, and Jones for the series, and I guess we will see you guys next week at Phoenix.
Yes, we will see you next week at Phoenix, Chris. Second place run for him, and best of luck to you at Phoenix as you get ready to battle it out for a championship next week.
I appreciate it, guys.
All right, quickly here, we'll talk to our first place finisher winner tonight, Chris Tommy Gossett. Chris Gossett, this is Carlos Zimmerman in the FRN booth. You got me?
Yes, sir, I do. How are you?
Doing just fine, man. Ever since the drop of the green flag, you put on a clinic and you never looked back. I mean, this is probably going to be a really quick interview because, man, there's not much to say. You just showed utter dominance tonight.
Yeah, and to be quite honest with you, I didn't expect it. To me, Indy's one of my worst tracks. I love driving it, but to me, it's one of my worst tracks. I was telling the guys during NIS, I actually got lapped here. So I don't know. I guess the track temperature or something clicked. I have no clue.
Now, I know you're not really fighting for a championship out there. I mean, it's not so much that you've really been spoiling it for anybody, really. Chris Bass said it that he is just racing the green stripes on the racetrack, and he won that tonight. So really, this was just you just strutting your stuff and showing basically a glimpse of what we're going to see next season.
Yeah, me and Reese were just talking about it down there. When I joined in, I didn't expect to be in the championship hunt, but I came in with the mindset, okay, when I joined, I asked Chris Jones, who's the best or who won the most races in here? And he told me at that point, Tate had and still has. And I was like, okay, how many's he got? And then I calculated the races, and my goal was to actually beat Tate's win total. So just racing purely for myself. But after Tate won Chicagoland and then I got Homestead happened, I knew I couldn't do it. So now I'm just out here racing for fun, having a good time.
You know, and you really showed it tonight with just an incredible performance here at Indy. We talked a little bit about your scheme tonight. If you want to give a little bit of insight into more insight into what was on the hood for you tonight.
Yeah, just really, it was a John Andretti throwback specifically because we lost him to colon cancer this year, and of course I had hashtag check it for Andretti on there, which is representing getting checked for colon cancer once you hit age 45, I do believe. But also on the front quarter panel, I had F cancer on there. It's you just really have to be careful and check yourself, and make sure your family checks themselves and gets regular doctor's appointments. I lost my grandpa to leukemia from Agent Orange, and that he got exposed to in Vietnam, and that was not a pretty thing to watch happen. So I don't wish that on nobody, and I pray that there can be a cure for it one day.
Alrighty, like I said, short interview tonight. Going into Phoenix, you have a championship battle happening around you. Is the mindset to go win?
Yeah.
Alrighty, short and sweet and to the point.
That's always the goal out here. Just looking to do my best, and if it's a win, it's a win. If it's 15th, it's 15th.
Alrighty. Before I let you go this evening, Chris Gossett, anybody you want to give a shout out to?
Yeah, first off, I gotta thank God for putting me in the position to be able to do this. I gotta thank my parents for putting up with me sitting in this chair. Thank y'all for the wonderful broadcast. Gotta thank the league sponsor and now my sponsor, SimNut Racing Sims, for the wonderful product they provide. Be sure you go check them out over on Facebook. I gotta thank Splash and Go Graphics, Liam Brotherton, for making me paint schemes and official races, and I gotta thank my team, Lowline Racing.
Alrighty, there is your winner here tonight, Chris Tommy Gossett. Back-to-back victories, winning Rockingham last week and then Indy here tonight. Best of luck to you at Phoenix, and have a great rest of your evening.
Thank you. Hope to be talking to you this time next week.
Alrighty, Logan, we have a top four, and it is official. Chris Otto, fourth. Chris Reese, second. Chris Robert, second. And Chris Bass, he is first. The slate wiped clean next week. There are your four that's going to battle for a title.
Yeah, good to see that, we caught that late in this race and were able to make that last minute call out and double check on that. A great drive from Chris Otto and Chris Reese doing what they needed to do here this evening. And yeah, like we said, brand new, a slate wiped completely clean, and it doesn't get simpler than that. Highest finisher of those four wins the championship. So it's gonna be a full field of around 20 cars, but there's only gonna be a race for between four guys for that championship. So we could see these guys finish 1, 2, 3, 4 next week. So you never know. And like Chris Bass said too, for some of these guys, there's a chance that one of these guys that the championship could be over in one lap. So anything can happen next week, and it's going to be really exciting to see how it plays out at Phoenix.
It is going to be a wild one next week at Phoenix International Raceway. The final race of this incredible season that the Chris Cup Series has had, their inaugural season. And it's going to come down to four guys: Chris Bass, Chris Roberge, Christopher Reese, and Chris Otto for a title next week. Same time, same great channel, 7 o'clock Eastern, 6 o'clock Central here on the Flatout Racing Network to determine a champion. Logan, it's great to have you back in the booth, and I hope to have you here with me to wrap up this incredible season.
Yes, absolutely. We'll be back up here with you next week calling the action from PIR.
That's where we're at next week. Tomorrow night, the Tech Hub.TV Cup Series. They will get going at about 9:20 Eastern, 8:20 Central out at the Atlanta Motor Speedway. Second race on the season. Should be a fun one. Myself, Carlos Zimmerman, and Warren Keith will be on the call for that one. Folks, we are not quite done yet with racing here tonight on the Flatout Racing Network. Just about to get underway out just south of where we're at in Indianapolis at the Darlington Speedway in Darlington, South Carolina. The Veterans of Foreign Wars Cup Series, race number 26 of 35 on the year, is coming to you from the Darlington Raceway right now. Seth Cole and Sam Dyer bringing that action to you right here on the Flatout Racing Network. For Logan Brakey, I'm Carlos Zimmerman. Thank you so much for joining us here this evening. We'll see you next week for the finale of this incredible year, the NASCAR Chris Cup Series race number 5 of the playoffs from Phoenix International Raceway to determine who will be the inaugural champion. We'll see you next week, and one more time, good night from Speedway, Indiana.